The Bitcoin price has corrected about 11%. The entire market is red and a lot of altcoins are down 20, 30, 40, and some of them even 50%. So that got a lot of people a little bit nervous. But there are also some voices out there that are claiming that the cycle is over, that Bitcoin hit its top or that it is close to a top, and that actually not much is to be expected anymore. And that is what we want to look at. So in this video, we are going to look at the cycle where we are right now. We are going to look at Bitcoin. What happened? Why did Bitcoin correct? And we are going to look at altcoins and why altcoins are moving as they are moving. Why they did correct so hard. Hey everyone, it's the Patient Hodler coming at you with another video, another crypto market update video, very short one. If you like these short updates, then smash up the like button right now to an all-time high, subscribe to the channel with notifications on so that you're always notified when there are new crypto market updates coming out. And if you want, you can become a channel member to support this channel. We don't shill you any shitty sponsored coins that are going to zero. So we're only sponsored by our members. So if you enjoy that, if you like it, a couple of bucks, you can sponsor this. Anyways, let's jump into it. Bitcoin. So this is the big crash that everyone is talking about. Yeah, we are here in the weekly chart. So this is how the week looks like. But obviously the crash is here from the week to where we are. And I want to highlight one thing. I'm going to show you exactly where this touched. But also I want to show you where this blue line is sitting on top. And that is the all-time high, the weekly candle bodies. That is exactly where this line is sitting. And if we're looking at the daily chart here, then we can see that we have a perfect retest on top of this level. After we broke out, we almost hit 75,000. Maybe anticipation caused a little bit of a sell-off. And now we corrected a bad 11%. That is not too brutal, but it is brutal enough to send some altcoins into a valley of tears, right? So we have this nice retest and we're not too far away from the halving. So the halving is more likely than not at the 20th of April, which is here. So there's really not much time until then, 34, 35 days. But what happened? Why is Bitcoin so red right now? Let's look at the liquidation heat map. And actually, if I get myself out of the way here, then you can see on the right side that in the last 24 hours, 500 million of longs got liquidated and over 170 million of shorts. So this time the longs got wrecked. Whenever longs get wrecked, like leveraged longs especially, they have to sell coins to cover their losses. So obviously that causes a big sell-off and sometimes even a cascade. So we have 632 million of liquidated positions here in the last 24 hours. So yeah, a lot of traders, capital and so on got wrecked. This is relatively normal in this degenerate space, but the harder these longs are stacked, and actually we covered this at Crypto Morning Coffee. We said the more, based on a crypto quant tweet, the more people are basically mutually agreeing that the market is going up and backing this confidence up by leveraged trades, the more likely such a correction is. If you remember, if you were there, if you watched it. So this is the reason, the main reason why. So this just needs one whale to dump into all these leveraged longs to liquidate their positions, and then they have to sell, and that's where we get the cascading effect. Not to exclude that this could be even the asset managers themselves to drive the price a little bit down and then scoop everything up that these players are selling. I read today, I've not opened it, but I read today someone lost 12.7 million in a single Bitcoin trade. So that's obviously brutal. With it said, the big question is, if we zoom out, obviously we are looking a little bit better, right? Because if you zoom out, this is nothing, right? Let's look at Bitcoin since the bottom. I mean, look at this uptrend and these these dips here that you cannot even remember about anymore. They were way harder. This was a 20% dip, and these waterfall like collapses, these were way worse than this. But now that your portfolio has grown, a 10% impacts way harder than when your portfolio was only a couple of coins, right? So now your portfolio is already up $20,000 or whatever, or $200,000. 10% is beating a nice gap into that, a nice dent into that. But let's continue here. Let's talk about Ethereum. Why? Because Ethereum is leading the altcoin market. So we see here this resistance line that actually has some confluence here. I have to refresh because TradingView gets confused when it's opened in several tabs. But we're getting there. So we can actually see that this resistance line for Ethereum has some confluence in the broader scale, but here we actually see that it is there. So we have resistance here right now, and Ethereum has met that resistance. We still have our target up here at the all-time high, and usually when Bitcoin breaks its own all-time high, then also after a while Ethereum catches up. So from where we are right now to the upside, there's a solid 25% move that is very likely coming after this retracement. And I don't know how deep this retracement can go, but I mean, you see here in the zoom out, it's not that heavy. Also here we see Ethereum is forming the same pattern. It looks like the Bitcoin retrace, right? So it's just copying it. And by the way, that dip was worse than the one that we have right now. So yeah, that is the reason why the altcoins are down, and that is the reason why we could be seeing a little bit more correction maybe, but we also have a long wick already of buying up. So the altcoins will follow Ethereum as the biggest altcoin. Now, the most important thing is something in this whole video is the global liquidity. And therefore, we're going to look at the DXY for the first time in a long time. We have looked at the DXY last somewhere here in October 2023, and then I'd never opened it anymore because it was not so interesting to most people. So what's the DXY? Quickly, the DXY is the dollar measured against a basket of other currencies, the strength of the dollar. Also, if someone sells a dollar and buys an asset with it, the dollar gets weakened. So that means if you see this like waterfall like collapse, then people are moving out of the dollar, potentially into other coins. And now this is the peak that we just saw. Now we have formed a new lower high. So we see here in the broader scheme, we have confirmed this downtrend, this arrow that we have since ages, since basically here when we had this on this channel. We were live here when it broke this trend line, okay? Anyways, the bigger picture here though is relevant, and I'm going a little bit to higher time frames. Don't get confused by these round thingies here. I will explain. So the yellow line is since when Bitcoin exists, and the collapses in the DXY are our bull markets, our previous bull markets. And the funny thing is that, yeah, you see here, right, the bull market ends when the DXY finds a bottom. Now, we have corrected a bit in the DXY, but it sure seems that there could be more correction coming, right? We have found support here, and now we're hitting that support 1, 2, 3, 4. We even breached it a little bit and then pumped up again. So the expectancy here is, or what we are expecting is, that once the Fed cuts rates, that this chart basically loses support, and then we get our massive run. So like we did it here and here. And obviously if the Fed cuts rates and the US government pre-election is printing more and more money, and printing money also against the high debt that they have, they will devalue the dollar. So, and if they devalue the dollar, people will spend their dollar into something more stable, or i.e. moving out of the dollar. So that is how it works. people are also moving out of the out of US Tether into crypto. But at some points, and that's exactly what we also, a lot of tapping my own back here, but we also predicted this on this channel, is that we are going to hit this resistance line and that we expect a bounce here. So that we expect our correction here at this resistance line. And it happened. So I think we could bounce maybe even a little bit harder here at this resistance line. But ultimately, it will be interesting when people are allocating money into the market. Maybe we'll move sideways here, but then eventually lose that resistance line. And that is a pretty big deal, because I have to refresh again because it doesn't load. Because you see that here there is not much more coming. If you lose this level, ultimately probably your next stops are somewhere here, and that means that an entire percent or so of the US Tether that is out there is going to be offloaded into the market, which would lead to a massive Bitcoin run and to a very big altcoin season. So ultimately, also refreshing this here, let's talk about altcoins. And we are going to go into our altcoin chart, and we see that this is the total 3. So this is everything except Bitcoin and Ethereum and stablecoins, and we see that the total 3 also has to catch up quite a bit to match with Bitcoin's all-time high, and that's completely normal that it's moving behind Bitcoin. There is a solid 48.1% out of all altcoins until that is met, and only when it's met, that is when the real parabolic move starts. Because you see here, that's not true. Actually, in the total 3, if you pass the all-time high, there's not much more coming. But I'm still pretty sure that there will be a very big run coming out of the altcoins, maybe even without the top 10. So this would be then the others chart. By the way, also here we hit our previous target, and here we can see it a little bit better, because the others chart is everything except the top 10. And if we're pulling up the everything except the top 10, we can see here that in fact, once we pass this previous high, which is here, which is where we are right now at resistance, right? You see this line here and how it is similar. You hit your head, you correct, you come up again and want to breach it. That's where we are right now. We are exactly at this, like this retest in the bear market, which we also have here. And this, in fact, is when you breach this, there is still a huge rally out of the smaller coins. So the smaller coins meaning everything besides top 10. I want to highlight a couple of things. First of all, next target, met. Okay. Secondly, we met it, we overshot it a little bit, but actually this line is not 100% accurate. Here is the candle body. But we overshot it a little bit, and now we have corrected together with the market. So it is and you see the wave is very similar to what we drew in. One thing that I want to highlight especially is that we have, if you see here down here, we have a super huge sale volume, and we have a very high buy volume. So this is a very big, like, look, the last time you had big volumes like this was here. So what we want to see now is obviously that there is more green candles, more green following. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, you could argue based on the total 3, hey, there's not so much coming. Is there something about those stories that we have hit a peak for Bitcoin? And let's look for that once again at the Bitcoin chart. And we are going into the monthly, and we're going into the indicator that we defined on this channel are going to be the indicators where we are going to base on our analysis. Let's get all lines out of the way and just look at plain and simple where we are right now. So what we have here, I think like this we can see it very good. What we have here is the logarithmic Bitcoin move, and like clockwork, we are just repeating the same pattern. It now becomes very visible since we are at the all-time high. And also here we see, look at that, we are here in this cycle. So this big move is yet to come. If we do what we did in the other cycles, also we are here. This move is still to come. Okay, just from a cycle perspective, pass all-time high, move. Pass all-time high, big move. Pass all-time high, probably, potentially big move. The next thing is the RSI. We have defined that the RSI has to hit at least 91, like the previous one, and from there, based on the other cycles, it could still be 2 to 3 months until the absolute top, right? But that's a good sell indicator. Now, we are at 76 right now. So we are relatively far from 91, because you see, for example, when we were at 76 here, that was before the move, you see? That was before the big move. So, yeah, if you just take this again here, 76, that was here, you would be here exactly at the all-time high. We were at 76 also there in this cycle. So I don't get right the confusion about that we have suddenly hit a top here. I think that's planted FUD, to be honest. And then lastly, we said first of all the TSI has to form a bull cross to initiate the parabolic move or the bull move, which it did. And secondly, it has to come up to this trend line. Depending on how long it takes, but it has to come up on this trend line like we did here, get rejected, and then the move is over. So you see here, the hit and the rejection is exactly the top here, and the hit and the rejection is exactly the top in this cycle, and here we don't have data. But that is what I'm going to base myself on. Now, it is true that we have the bull cross. We had the bull cross here, for example. We had the bull cross before the halving. Here we have it after the halving, but only because of the pandemic. And then here we have it before the halving again. So we are very similar to this run. So in my opinion, we are most likely halfway through the bull run, because we have more or less half the pre-bull, and then we have an explosive move to the upside that can take about 8 to 10 months. So this move should then end in November until somewhere January, February. Yeah, Christmas sell-off in between, and then more upside. That doesn't mean that it has to happen like this, but based on where we are right now, based on how it seems right now, that is the analysis. And one thing is missing here, and that is more a fundamental than technical analysis or whatever. One thing is missing, and that is retail. Retail is not in the market. So if you look for buy Bitcoin, they have been watching, like people have been watching on Google at the 5th of March for buying Bitcoin. That was exactly when we hit our all-time highs, right? Or when we were very close to hitting a new all-time high. That was when people were interested. Now people are not interested anymore because we are dumping since yesterday. So suddenly we are not at 81, we are at 57. Okay, so yeah, and even if you go to 90 days, you can also see it. There were at these spikes, was a little bit of interest around the Bitcoin ETF and the pump, but now it has already gone down a little bit. And in a broader scheme, I think the Google Analytics has a little bit of a failure here. I don't know why it's at 0 down there, but overall, I mean, in a parabolic bull move, you're hitting what's that here? 21 last bull run. You're hitting like 100 at some point. Not to say, at least we want to see high, very very high levels in these search trends, which we don't see. The last one from end of February to March is at 26. Potentially we have a little bit more, but you saw that the search volume is going down. But yeah, overall, that is where we are in the cycle. I think there is absolutely no reason to worry about this. That there could be a top right now. Also, no reason to worry about altcoins, because I think altcoins just got started based on this chart here, based on the others chart, and yeah, I think that we have still a very great run in front of us. I think we are going to rally for about 8 months, and I'm going to prepare to sell at any point where I see that these indicators are coming closer to the levels that I want to see. But let me know in the comments below what you think about all of this, and make sure to smash up the like button if you enjoy these updates, and wherever you are on the world, have a great morning, evening, day, night, or afternoon, and I see you in the next video.